From the mineral-rich heart of Niger to the dry plains of Mali, an increasing number of military takeovers have thrown the region into disarray and raised serious concerns about stability, governance, and the very survival of democracy. The days of cautious optimism that followed the late 20th century wave of democratic transitions are long gone. A sense of déjà vu lingers in their place, reflecting the tumultuous past of coups and strongman leadership. A devastating turning point occurred in 2020 when the military in Mali overthrew a democratically elected government. After this seemingly isolated occurrence, similar power grabs occurred within a year in Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Chad. The incident quickly became a regional epidemic. The fragility of the democratic fabric in the area was further highlighted by the coup in Niger last year. However, these military actions go beyond simple abuses of authority. They frequently result from a convoluted network of complaints that include pervasive poverty, governmental dissatisfaction, corruption, and insecurity. Particularly in the Sahel, jihadist insurgencies have further damaged public confidence in governments, which has made military involvement more likely. As a result of this, the military leaders in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have all been working hand in glove to protect their various countries. They formed an alliance called the Alliance of Sahel States. Their withdrawal from the economic community of West African states adds another layer of complexity to the situation. Days after Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger announced they were quitting the ECOWAS, Burkina Faso's military ruler Ibrahim Traore was already naming his next target. So in today's video, we will be telling you the next step these three countries plan on taking. We will also be telling you how France plans on stopping this move. Make sure you watch the video to the end to have a full understanding. Captain Ibrahim Traore, the man leading Burkina Faso since the September 2022 coup, suggested in a recent interview that his country might soon abandon the CFA franc as part of an effort to break all ties that kept them in slavery. Captain Traore also clarified that Burkina Faso has no plans to rejoin ECOWAS. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have demonstrated time and again that they prioritize autonomy over expediency, having already driven out French soldiers and retreated from a UN mission in Mali. Their stance on the euro-pegged CFA franc seems to remain unchanged, even though analysts and experts believe that abandoning the CFA would be riskier and more difficult than leaving ECOWAS, a decision that would be viewed as a daring, if possibly foolish, show of defiance. The finance ministers of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger announced in November of last year that they would consider the possibility of establishing a monetary union. Senior leaders from all three nations expressed support for doing away with the currency, albeit in differing degrees. They also recommended the creation of a joint stabilization fund and investment bank, among other measures. Abdourahmane Tiani, the chairman of the Niger military government, stated in an interview on state television that giving up the CFA franc would be a declaration of sovereignty and an essential step in removing French colonization. Abandoning the 8-member West African Monetary Union and adopting a new currency would further isolate Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, who have called their new union the Alliance of Sahel States. The three countries and 5 others in the region currently use the West African CFA franc, a currency that is pegged to the euro and which critics see as a relic from French colonial rule. Bear in mind that Burkina Faso and Niger also announced their withdrawal from the G5 Sahel Force, a regional anti-jihadist coalition that was set up in 2014 with the support of France. The two countries have joined Mali, which also quit the G5 in 2022 after a military coup, in forming a new alliance of Sahel states that aims to enhance their security and development. The military leaders of Burkina Faso and Niger accused the G5 Sahel of failing to make the region safer and of serving foreign interests, especially those of France, the former colonial power. They want to stick to their confederation. However, giving up the CFA franc would entail much more than just creating new banknotes. A newly established central bank would have to handle a smooth transfer of the CFA franc, set monetary policy, and determine what to deal with the approximately $4.6 billion in outstanding regional bonds denominated in CFA. A passionate discussion about sovereignty and development in French-speaking Africa revolves around the CFA franc currencies, which are divided into two denominations, one for West Africa and another for Central Africa. Proponents argue that the CFA franc's peg to the euro ensures stability and low inflation, creating a favorable environment for investment and economic growth. The CFA franc offers predictability and reduces financial risks for businesses as compared to other African currencies with higher volatility. The French treasury guarantees the convertibility of the CFA franc to euros, facilitating international trade and financial transactions. This guarantee provides a level of security and reduces currency exchange risks for exporters and importers. Critics describe the currency as an antiquated relic of French colonial control that stunts economic progress and requires nations to keep a portion of their foreign reserves with the French treasury. The CFA franc arrangement involves high transaction costs, including the requirement to convert all exports and imports through the French treasury. These costs can burden businesses and hinder competitiveness, especially for smaller enterprises. Whatever the case, the military leaders of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali know what they are doing and have the people's support. There is great potential for the future of West Africa in the alliance of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Together, these three nations will solve shared difficulties, advance regional integration, and accomplish common objectives that would be challenging to accomplish alone by combining their resources, knowledge, and ambitions. The shared aspirations and regional integration efforts of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger offer a beacon of hope for a more peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable future for the Sahel region. By working together, these countries can overcome the challenges they face and create a better future for their citizens. But would these countries face challenges if they abandon the CFA franc? Leaving a stable currency like the CFA franc could lead to significant initial volatility in their new currencies, potentially causing inflation and discouraging investment. Depending on the exchange rate of their new currencies, their exports could become more competitive in the short term. However, devaluation could also make imports more expensive, increasing inflation and potentially hurting consumers. Leaving the CFA franc could further strain their already tense relations with the economic community of West African states, potentially hindering regional cooperation and economic integration. They will have to seek alternative partnerships with other countries or institutions for financial and technical assistance. Many COWS members worry about the potential for regional instability and economic disruption if these countries exit the CFA franc zone. They urge them to reconsider, emphasizing the benefits of regional integration and the potential risks of independent currencies. Some, like Senegal and Ivory Coast, who benefit from the CFA franc stability, remain cautious but acknowledge the need for dialogue and reform. The International Monetary Fund and World Bank have urged for responsible transition plans and emphasized the importance of sound economic policies and regional cooperation. We should take note that this is not the first time that a country is planning on dropping its currency. Gaddafi had a vision and strong belief in uniting Africans. In speeches, Gaddafi often outlined his plan to create a new united Africa with its own currency, an army to defend the continent, and a single passport. He wanted to introduce a gold dinar to back African currencies, thus freeing them from the dollar standard. Gaddafi was terminated because he objected to Western interference in African affairs. Gaddafi also longed to protect Africa's natural resources from what he referred to as Western looters. Bear in mind that several attempts have been made to take down Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. A member of his force allegedly collected 25 million euros to betray him. With all this going on, do you not think some of these leaders may end up like Gaddafi? However, Gaddafi's regime was accused of human rights abuses and repression, which fueled the uprising. The decision to leave the CFA franc stems from economic concerns and aspirations for greater monetary sovereignty, not necessarily a desire for violent change. Take note that during the ministerial conference between France and the Economic and CEMAC on April 25, 2023, the topic of the CFA franc was discussed. The French regard the CFA franc's guarantee and convertibility as the cornerstones of the region's economic stability. Like what has transpired in West Africa, France is still open and available to CEMAC ideas to improve monetary cooperation in Central Africa. The argument over the CFA franc in West Africa, especially in light of the most recent military takeovers, pits the appeal of autonomy and self-determination against the convenience and stability that the existing system is thought to provide. For these countries, the desire for more control over their own economic destiny is a compelling drive, even while the potential economic gains and international support for the CFA franc cannot be disregarded. Ultimately, a number of important variables will determine whether their choice to exit the CFA franc zone is successful or unsuccessful. To overcome the obstacles and realize any possible advantages, responsible transition plans, effective economic management, and regional cooperation will be necessary. France and the rest of the world can contribute positively if they provide assistance and knowledge instead of forcing them to return to the status quo. There is still uncertainty around the CFA franc's future and what it means for West Africa. But a strong desire for autonomy is driving this time of transition. The decisions made by these countries, the response of the region, and the larger international backdrop will determine whether it results in a better future or unanticipated difficulties. This is a critical juncture in the ongoing process of West African states achieving greater autonomy and self-reliance. It is not merely a technical economic issue. Whatever the case, we will be here to update you on how things unfold. Do you think more African countries will join this cause shortly? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too, so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.